Hello, Apurva.
Oh, hi, Melanie. We made it.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are back from lunch and right on time. So I'm going to turn it over to you very shortly, but I just wanted to introduce you to everyone. Apurva is an incredible mentor in our ecosystem. He is in the banking space, but I can tell you he's mentored probably thousands of people. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you so much for joining us at our International Women's Day, even though virtual. But we're here
Wow.
and we're excited to learn from you. And we know that many people, we all have questions with regards to the banking industry, packaging our loan application. What do we need to do when we're preparing to go in to speak to someone in a financial institution? So, Prava, I'll let you introduce yourself and then I will step off the stage and let you continue.
My name is Apurva Talsania. I have been in Canada for last 15 plus years, and my expertise is into personal and commercial banking. And my passion is to help business owners succeed. Given what happened during COVID and pandemic, I have taken it to the next level to really come out to the community and provide an insider scoop on what's happening in the banking industry right now. And I come with experience with banking industry, finance, technology, as well as project management to help you achieve any kind of goal that you may have, anywhere from startup to $50 million in revenue. I can help you to make that dream come true. My second half is actually my wife, but I also have a passion to help mentor young professionals and business owners who are looking to start up or purchase a business in Canada. So I've done this successfully in the last 15 years, and I want to come out, especially in this difficult time, to help you further. So with that, this is me, but it's not about me. This is the beauty of Startup Canada is we want to come to you and give you some information that can really resonate with you and help you in the next step. So I hope you can still hear me and see me. And I'm going to start right up with 7 tips that you can think about if you are a startup company or if you are an existing company too. Trust me, I deal with both. And I see a lot of times business owners pay less attention to financial details and more attention to running the business. I think nothing wrong with that, but yes, you have to put a team together who can really help you achieve your goal. So I'm going to start off with a little bit of a story. And the way I did this was to give you a story so you can relate to it. And that's how I kind of did the 7 tips for you today. To start with, have a source of income. My goodness. My father taught me this when I was so young. He says, if you want to buy something, you got to earn it. You got to do work. You got to do something to make money, right? And I still follow that concept, and I think so true for business owners. So, yes, if you want to start or buy a business, you need to make sure you have a little bit of income on the side from your job. If you are married, then from your spouse, or if you have a side hustle that is making some money to get you a source of income. So, what you see in front of you, Mark and Richard wanted to start a business, and both of them had their own way of thinking about collecting money for business. So, one person had some money cash available as source of income, and the other person was actually looking for support from the bank to finance that opportunity. So you could see both sides of the story in that scenario. And my friends, guess what? You don't need thousands of dollars to start a business in Canada today. What you need is passion, a team, and an approach from bankers who believe in your dream. So this is very important. So put together a team that works for you. Next one up is get familiar with some key financial concepts. You got to say, this is your job. Why should I know about financial concepts? I understand that. Yes, absolutely my job. But your job as a business owner to know your numbers. So starting off would be cash flow projections. Very simple, I would say. What comes in, what goes out. Simple as that. You need to know when does it come in and when does it go out. So for example, if money is coming in every 30 days from your sale of goods and services, and you have to make a payment every 15 days because your suppliers are not willing to wait, you have a gap of 15 days. And how would you fill that gap is called cash flow projection. And how can the bank help you to mitigate that gap and give you some financing based on the purchase orders you have? Second is debt to equity. Big words, but just understand this very simply. Every dollar you put into the business, the bank is willing to participate with a dollar as well. In most of the businesses which are essential businesses in Canada, the bank can go a little bit further and go up to $2 or $3 for every dollar that you put in. And given COVID, something interesting has happened. You can exactly know what kind of businesses are essential to the economy. And I would recommend look into those industries itself to start or buy. And this is the next step after COVID, is to figure what businesses work and how do they work. Next is debt service coverage. My goodness, what is this, right? Again, this is not your headache, but something important to learn is you need to have income of $1.25 to pay a loan for $1. As simple as that. You need to have income of $1.25 to make a payment of $1 of debt or loan, right? This is the basic mantra of business, which means you at least need a minimum 20 to 25% net profit margin in any business that you want to start or buy. That is going to make sure that you will be successful as an entrepreneur. I hope I'm doing okay and you can still hear me, see me. Okay, I will make the screen a little bit bigger. I hope this is better now. Sorry, I cannot see the notes, what's coming into the screen because I'm presenting. So hope this is better now. Do the math. Math is important. I think when I started schooling, something that resonated to me was numbers. And that's what actually I did for the last 20 years of being in accounting and banking, right? But also, you need to do the math based on not just the numbers, but also what are the different components of your business in terms of numbers. So, for example, what are your fixed expenses every month? What are your variable expenses every month? And most importantly, how, my friends, you can make a payment when you receive income from your sales, right? For example, inventory count is so important. You need to understand about debts and people you need to pay. So vendors that you have, and when do you need to pay and how much do you need to pay. So doing that math is important. Guess what? We live in the technology world. There are a lot of software available out there. For example, QuickBooks is a good example to look at. Simply Accounting can help you with that as well. So you can use certain softwares to do the math for you, but you need to know the numbers. It's important. All right, next one up is figure out what finance options are right for you. So very simply, I put it, there are three ways to get financing. Number one, your own income. Number two, go to the market or go to your customers and do crowdfunding. Or three, come to banks and we can help you. And you know what? All the three options are great. It works for business owners depending upon the complexity of your need. If your need is between startup to $1 million, bank is a good place to start. If your need is between $1 million to $10 million, the banks could still be the first choice of contact. Plus, crowdfunding could be another option to look for, just to know if this business is viable or not. And anything over $10 million, you can have a mix of all. So this is how you can understand this financing option model. And yes, Startup Canada is connected well with the government too. So if you are looking for grants information or government program details, I think what a beautiful platform you have to think about it and get information from first-hand experts in that company. So going into the next step, prepare before applying for a loan. So as you realized, I did not start with a document checklist. I could have done that very easily. My work is done, Melanie. Thank you very much. I'll go away. Wasn't my intention. So if you think about it, if you're ready with the preparation, you can now think about preparing to apply for a loan. Okay. So I have a little checklist for you. So I'm going to go right to that. So this is a little bit of a document checklist that you can use as part of my presentation today. So for example, if there are businesses who are operating more than 1 year, you need at least minimum 2 years of financial statements, which shows your income, how much assets you have, and what is the cash flow in the business. If you are somebody who is in the brick and mortar retail or even services business, and you may have account receivable or account payables, you need to have an understanding of that and an aging report that can really help you understand your cash in and cash out. If you are buying a business, appraisal reports are becoming a big thing now. So you need to know how much value of the equipment and renovation is in the business, including inventory. Because when you make a payment, you need to understand what you are buying, right? Lease agreement, I think, is very important. You need to understand what is the amount of time you can stay in that location. I'll give you an example. My expertise is in professional services and healthcare setup. Just an example. Also in technology and contractual roles that people go into technology. What I find is lease agreements are seldom not read by business owners. So you need to understand what are the legalities of lease agreement. How long is it? How much money are they charging per square foot? What kind of tax, maintenance, and other expenses you need to have? Or you also need to be aware of if there is any demolition clause in the lease agreement, that after 5 years, the landlord could come in and say, I got to renovate the space, or you have to renovate the space. So you need to talk about those things, right? Insurance. I'm not an insurance advisor by any chance, but when you apply for business loans, you might need a little bit more personal insurance just to make sure that you keep up to your health and you are able to run the business successfully. For my folks who are in business for less than 1 year, so startup companies, you need a business plan and financial projections for 2 years to understand where the money is going to come from, how are you going to spend it, and let the bank know that this plan is possible and why is it possible, right? For example, we learned in the prior slide that we need $1.25 income for every dollar of loan that you need to pay. So this business plan and financial projection is going to show how you are going to make this happen, right? I know I'm speaking a lot. Hopefully you can digest this information. Please be aware there is a question and answer session coming in the next 10 minutes. So please don't go away yet. I will be answering your questions as well. Next part is list of total project costs. Just give you an example. I set up a medical clinic mid-Toronto a couple of months ago. and this was a combination of doctors, pharmacists, and other health professionals. What I learned from them is they did not have a good understanding of the total cost of the project, which means buying the real estate, doing the renovation, what equipment do they need, what kind of additional expenses that they will have to get permits from the city, or get quotations from the contractors. So we help them put together a total project cost that understood that you may need $2 million to complete this project. And then within those $2 million, what are the aspects that the bank can finance and what the client has to put in as equity or cash into the business? Okay, so this gives you a little bit of an idea of how you can prepare to go to a bank and ask for help. And we live in the digital world, my friends. You can always research about your banker before you go and see them, and also get references from clients that might have dealt with bankers before. I can tell you one thing from bottom of my heart: each and every banker is ready to help you and make your dream happen. This is my understanding. But you have to understand the timing and the busy schedule that we work with because of number of clients due to COVID might create the friction between the client and the banker because of scheduling problems. So if you are not receiving attention for your business, I recommend to go in and have a second opinion. This will be helping you to put together a good loan package, or you will have somebody who actually is willing to help you. So I'm not trying to say you come to me, but I'm saying that you go to somebody who is willing to listen to you, understand your problems, and then provide a solution within a timely manner. So you might ask me, timing, tell me about time. So if you're an existing business owner and you're looking to purchase a business or upgrade your business, currently you're looking at between 3 to 4 weeks of approval time. So that's basically almost a month, right? And funding could take anywhere between 2 to 3 weeks. So you need to aware of about that timing as well. Why is it important? Is because if you are looking into this business opportunity, timeline is also part of your business plan. So it's important to communicate your timeline with your banker that you work with. All right, so I will continue to present my other business case, which is important, is how to apply for the loan. So let me talk to you about that. The way you can apply for the loan is two ways. One, you can do it online now, digitally, if the ask is less than $100,000. Most of the banks have caught up to technology, and you are able to apply for a loan for less than $100,000 online. The second option that I strongly recommend you choose is to choose a banker to work with for your funding need. So you can go to your banker and present a plan like we discussed in the early stages of this opportunity, and you go in to that opportunity looking at options which are available to you. So for example, what are the top 4 options available for loans right now? Number one is working capital. So I'll go back to my list here. Number one is working capital, which means the one that I spoke to you about, cash in and cash out, and that difference between the time. So working capital is number one. Number two is financing your equipment and renovation needs. So it's called a business loan. You can actually get a term loan, business loan, for purchasing equipment and doing renovation at your business. Number three, real estate purchase. So for people or folks who are tired of paying rent and want to buy the commercial unit, yes, you can do that. You can use a term loan or an investor mortgage depending upon the situation. Number four is open facility called line of credit or credit card. For businesses who are 2+ years in the making and have steady cash flow are the basic people who can apply for these services. So you need, for line of credit or credit card, you may need to show some kind of income coming in regularly and some expenses coming out, which is creating the shortfall and the need of financing. So those are the 4 ways you can do this. Some of the specialized loan options available could be leasing facilities. So if you want to lease the equipment where you don't want to buy it because you are worried that technology would change and you may need to change the equipment, that is possible. You can lease it as well. So leasing is a good option. The other option that you can look for is trade finance. Trade finance means you are dealing with US customers and you need help with letter of credit or letter of guarantees, or you need foreign exchange services for your company. So those are a few things that you need to look at as well. My honest opinion on applying for a loan, it depends on the need of the business and it depends on how better you know your financial numbers. And once you have gathered that with the help of your accountant or an internal staff member, come to the bank. We are happy to help you. So this is what I would like to pass on to you guys today. Now, I also came with something in my pocket to help you out. What's the right business to buy or sell? I hear this question all the time. So use the chat box in here and what do you guys think? What is the right business to buy or sell? What do you guys think? Would you like to put into the chat box or talk about it? What businesses are you looking for nowadays? Anybody who wants to talk about it? No? I see some. Okay. Okay. All right. So I'll give you a little bit of an idea of what businesses you can actually buy and what might work for you depending upon your expertise. I'm going to show you that, sharing my screen now. So these are some of the industries which are guided by franchisees. And Startup Canada is one of the organizations who can actually tell you and guide you how things might work for you depending upon your need of the hour or your expertise. So, for example, if somebody is in expertise is in the business services, professional services, there are a lot of options out there that you can choose between different industries available. For example, if you are good with accounting and taxation, you can choose to open an accounting practice of your own. If you are somebody who loves to run a hotel, there is an opportunity to buy a hotel, which is a branded opportunity. Or you can also go into business services or consultation services for technology companies. So if you are a technical expert, you can open a corporation and you can literally become a technical consultant if you want to. Also, if you are into any kind of buy and sell or trade related activities where you want to bring goods and services from your country and sell it in Canada, that is possible too, and you can utilize trade financing for that option as well. Healthcare. If you are a healthcare service provider, doctor, dentist, physiotherapist, or any of those allied, you are in a position to open up your own clinic. Like the one example I gave you is we opened a clinic for doctors, dentists, and all these healthcare professionals going into one unit. So all this is possible. So this is the list of franchisees by industry that you can choose to benefit from. And yes, most importantly, a name branded franchise has a better opportunity to succeed given the COVID situation, because you will get training and support from the franchisor who is going to help you achieve your dream. Plus, the financing aspect of these businesses are much more easier to achieve. So my recommendation is to go with the franchise model that can work for you based on your expertise and what you like to achieve. So going back to the stage now, and stop my screen share. Anyone has any questions on what you heard so far? We are coming to the end of this opportunity, so really want to make sure I can answer any questions.
Actually, I had some questions. I don't think you were able to see them, so that's why I'm jumping in here to
Please,
raise
yes.
the party. Okay, so you had mentioned the checklist earlier. I wanted to, if you could just go back through that checklist, because the biggest thing that we hear through our startup community, and maybe people are a little shy to really talk about that right now, is when they're trying to get ready and package up their application to go into their bank to ask
Yes.
for money, because asking for money is very difficult because you're afraid of the big NO. So that's why most people don't want to do it. But what are the good things? Because I know you mentioned the documentation that's required for accounting and your accountant information. Should it be, can you use, should you be a certified accountant? Like, does the document need to be certified in such a way or audited? What are these things that they're looking at? Because I've heard people say, they've gone in for working capital and then they were told, even though they looked at the numbers, everything looked good, but they were saying, well, we kind of question some of the information that's here in your accounting flow. So can you maybe go into a little bit more information on that?
Okay, sure. So I'll tell you what are the common pitfalls when you submit documents that might help you.
Okay,
So
perfect.
number one will be for any businesses which are from startup to $5 million, bank will generally accept a notice to reader financial statement, which is prepared by an accountant. Now, when we say accountant, it could be a chartered professional accountant or even a chartered management accountant. So as long as it's an accountant who prepared it, which is a third party, not related to your business, that is acceptable. It's called notice to reader. If you are over $5 million revenue business, which can be a great opportunity for you, you need something called as review engagement report, which has a little bit more intervention by your chartered accountant looking at your numbers a little bit more closely, as well as doing some review with you to understand where these numbers came from. So those are those two acceptable items that I would like to highlight today. The other piece is rely upon your bank statements. So if you are at another bank right now, let's for example say ABC Bank, and you want to move to XYZ Bank because the ABC didn't do a good job on, you want to rely on your business account statements, which could be good for 6 months, right? So the banker can see what money came in, what went out. The other pitfall is business owners sometimes have no clue about account receivables and account payables, because guess who does this? Is probably the bookkeeper. So I want to make sure that it's not the answer you come with to the banker saying, oh, my bookkeeper does it, I'm not too sure. That's not a great answer. The good answer could be, how much money are you willing to receive from your top clients, or you have your top 10 people you receive money from and you wait on it, and who are the top 10 vendors or suppliers you got to pay, and what is that time gap? Very important. So this is an important information you need to have. These are the common pitfalls I find. Nalini?
So Apurva,
Yes.
so when you say pitfalls, are you talking about like 30 days? Because I this is one thing I noted, and I believe it's EDC that offers it, but don't quote me. That it's almost like insurance that they have for your receivables. So if you're doing business in the US or you have other clients and 30 days, 60 days, bigger corporations, even though most of us startups and a lot of companies want to do business
Yeah.
with big corporations, some of them don't pay for 60 days. Some are 90. And then you have others that are like 120 days. So it's very
Yeah.
hard for a small business to survive on something like that. How would they go in and present it when they're coming in to say, okay, we have these are our clients.
Yes.
This is a list of the contracts that we've won. This is what they've paid so far. And this is where we are. And this is their payment structure. So you can actually verify it and show it. But how does that impact when you come in and you ask for money? Because obviously that
Yeah.
does have some bearing on that, right?
Yeah.
Um, how is it looked upon? Like, I mean,
Sure.
is it favorable when you say, okay, well, I guess to say registered with a program with say EDC, and EDC is saying that, they are, what's the word, ensuring our receivables. So to ensure that we will get paid. And
Okay.
because, unfortunately, and, I've heard stories personal where, Canadian companies have done business with companies in the US. They provide a service. That
Right.
company gets paid, and then they say, "Oh, sorry. Well, you know what? We don't have enough to pay you." Or, God forbid, some of them will say they switch out their companies, change it, and have a new company. So now, guess what? That Canadian company, they've done the work, and they have no money coming in from that company, and there is no repercussions. How does somebody manage something like that? Like, obviously the
Yeah.
bank's going to say you've done the work and you haven't received the money. So how do they protect
Yeah.
themselves for something like that? How do you do that?
Absolutely. And I think it's no different for a small company to the large company, in my
Mm-hmm.
personal opinion, because
Mm-hmm.
even banks have something called as provision for credit losses, called
Right.
bad debts, right?
Yes.
So, things will happen.
Mm-hmm.
Business, that's why business ownership is tough, and not everybody is a business owner either, because
Right.
you have to agree and accept that out of $100 that you sold, you may not receive $10. So you already need to have that understanding before you go to the bank for funding, right? And that's
Mm.
where the aging report comes in, where you understand that what kind of industry are you working in, which creates X number of days to receive money. So, for
Okay.
example, if you're in a restaurant business, you should
Yeah.
have no receivables
All
because
right.
people got to pay before they eat. Or
Yes.
maybe, hopefully, I mean, I want to live in that world where they pay before you eat, but in some cases, they can eat and hopefully then pay, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So,
But yeah.
uh,
So yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm.
so then, if in case you are in a business where it's professional services like an accountant or a lawyer, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they would charge you a particular fee based on the work completed. So if you went and bought a real estate, then they will
Mm-hmm.
do all the paperwork and deduct those fees right from their
Mm-hmm.
bills, right? Basically.
Okay.
So the account receivable days will depend upon the industry you come in. We have
Mm.
something called as IBIS World, or it could be Bloomberg, or it could be any other research organization where we
Mm-hmm.
can go in and find information on how many days does this business typically wait for money. So if you're within our range of, let's say, 60 days, 90 days, or 120 days, we
Mm-hmm.
understand because we know we have done that research.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have accounts payable on the other side, which is the gap,
Mm-hmm.
is if you are paying them too fast, maybe you want to pick up that phone and call, hey, Jack, I need 10 more days because guess what the industry standard is? 40 days. And you're
Right.
asking me to pay in 15? What the hell?
You're
so,
right. Yeah.
so you
Okay.
got to be a negotiator in that sense with your suppliers to create that kind of a buzz for you,
Okay.
right?
No, that makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Excellent. So in terms of that, sorry, there was a question that I saw here and I just wanted to go back to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the documents was one thing. And the checklist. So that checklist that you shared earlier, maybe that's something that you can leave with me so I can share with the participants and anyone
Yes,
that's
it's public
registered.
information. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And another thing too that we find a lot of people are going into now is service industries or looking at creative industries. Not just because of the pandemic, but we find people that are managing, like doing social media or they're doing content writing for companies. So when these companies, because they're very service based, they're depending and hoping that I guess you could say their
Yeah.
client,
Hmm.
their client will pay, play on time. Um, how can they prepare themselves? Like, I mean, because obviously you'd want to say, half
Sure.
up front before we start the work, and then maybe another quarter of
Yeah.
that other half. Like, so there'd be a 3 quarters before the job is done, and then the remaining quarter. So, but when we were talking earlier about the provision for loss, how
Right.
can somebody factor in provision for loss in their
Sure.
business when they're looking at the whole payment structure of what they give, um, you know, say a
Sure.
company, like say if you hired Aldine to do some work, and Aldine's like, okay, well, this is my payment structure. And then you're like, oh, well, I'm going to hang on to more money, but Aldine needs to go to the bank to get some financing. With that provision for loss, if what
Yeah.
she's asking for at the end is greater than the 10%, how can they help to protect themselves, these small businesses?
That's a great question. And that's exactly what has happened in the pandemic. So, the
Yes.
businesses who did not understand this game early enough are the
Yeah.
ones who are closed or possibly at the brink of bankruptcy. So,
Mm.
the way to get this going is business plan. So, people think when you start a business, that's when you need a plan and you need to follow the plan. And then
Mm-hmm.
2 years down the line, they go, what the hell? That thing is just going to sit and eat dust, right? No.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at bigger companies, there are minutes of meetings happening every single month on their monthly meetings, and they keep updating their business plan and projections along with that. I have
Mm-hmm.
done a lot of a meeting of minutes myself. So I could imagine that that is an important component to keep changing and refreshing your plan. That
Mm-hmm.
will make you understand if you're going to have more losses than what you actually projected before, right?
Right.
And there is one more caveat, and I think a lot of my accounting friends will know this, is
Mm-hmm.
something called as cash flow statement. That
Yes.
is one statement that doesn't lie.
Okay.
Because it clearly shows what comes in, what went out, and how
Mm-hmm.
much was the financing gap that you needed to actually do the business or buy that equipment or buy that property that you were looking for, and
Mm-hmm.
how much was the net free cash flow left every single month after this activity. So, business owners, if you did a cash flow projection every single month, I
Mm-hmm.
can tell you, you will exactly know what your provision for credit losses should be. It could
Uh-huh.
be anywhere between 5% to 20%, depending upon your industry. The more
Okay.
specialized the industry, the higher the provision for losses, just so you know.
Okay. So this is something that maybe they could work out with their accountant or bookkeeper, because some people, they may not need an accountant because they don't need something certified, but they work with a bookkeeper. And then, you mentioned QuickBooks earlier. If you're using that program, it's something that you can export all your information to your accountant or bookkeeper at
Right.
the end of the year. But maybe it's something that you export to them every few months if you're doing your planning. And to your point about business plans, usually they tell us you create a business plan, you have it ready when you're about to launch your business.
Right.
um, they don't really talk so much about maintaining a business plan. And I
Yeah.
think when they look at business plan in that sense, a new business plan to launch a business is different from a strategic business plan that keeps your business running. I think maybe there needs to be more awareness of to the small businesses and even larger businesses that are moving from small to scaling to medium size, the importance of maintaining a strategic business plan, because it's not just about these are my competitors, doing your SWOT analysis and say, okay, this is what my projection would be. And I mentioned projection, so we'll come back to that in a second, but understanding what you have coming in, what you have going out, and then also in terms of projection. So can we
Right.
talk about projection for a minute and
Absolutely.
what's really feasible when we're doing that? Because obviously that would make sense when you're going into the bank. You want to say, okay, this is my strategic plan, this is my forecast, and these are my projections of where I think we would be going. So can we
Right.
go over that a bit further?
I will make it very simple for you folks.
Sure.
Okay. There
Yeah.
is something called as income statement in the projections.
Mhm.
Okay. A lot of business owners only pay attention to two items. One is how much sales am I going to do and how much profit will it generate. And
Okay.
this is the common mistake or a pitfall because they forget there is cost of goods sold and there is cost of operating the business, which could include hiring people or in today's world, getting new technology in place to make it work. And
Mhm.
guess what? Because of those two things, it creates a financial cash flow gap right from the beginning. So if you
Mhm.
go back to basics of accounting, if you
Mhm.
are thinking you will make $100 in sales, you should know in your industry what is
Mhm.
the cost of goods to actually make that sale. So for example, if it is $60, then you know your
Mhm.
gross profit margin could be $40,
Mhm.
right? So you need to know that. Then, what does it cost to hire employees or install technology or pay the rent, right? If you are in a
Ah.
unit. So if
Mhm.
you understood that, that could be $15, right? Then
Right.
you know you have a wiggle room of $25, which is your cash flow, free cash flow, that you can
Okay.
do provision for bad debts or credit losses. And
Okay.
maybe at the end of the day, your business could only make 20% return. That's
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
Because if you follow this structure, you will never make a mistake. Don't, just looking at sales and profit will never make it happen.
Okay, so that means you and I, we should do a session for the startup community. We should do an afternoon session or evening session about that. Maybe just a quick thing because, to your point, I think, and I've sat in on many sessions where we've done within our community, and you've really gone into more detail than some people tend to provide. And because you're in that industry, you
Thank you.
understand, you're welcome because I'm being very truthful about it because you've taken the time to go into it in more detail as to what people need to know. Because there's, they'll say, oh, Melanie, you know what, I did this and I went here and I don't even understand why they didn't give it to me because it clearly shows how much revenue I bring in and it shows how much, profit we have and this is what we're doing and this is how well we look. But they weren't given the information to say, okay, these are the details that you overlooked. These are the details that were not covered when you brought your documentation to us, and that's the reason why we didn't give it to you. We didn't grant you this because of something else. But we don't know these things if they don't tell you. Then you
Yeah.
don't know, right? So the fact that you're sharing this much information with us is very important. It's very critical, especially now. And I know we keep going back to COVID to say, well, these are the things due to COVID, but a few things because of COVID, many people have learned to stop and take a step back and look at a bigger picture.
Right.
And then to your point, like all of these details that you covered, we would never, or most businesses would never even think that that's something that we need to know. Because as you
Yes.
said, my bookkeeper knows I give everything to my bookkeeper. They take care of it. Most
They don't
businesses, that's
run the
how they run it.
business.
Yeah, but that's how most people do it. They focus on their business and they give everything else to their bookkeeper to take care of it. But guess what? And I've heard stories where people have given everything to the bookkeeper. The big bookkeeper runs everything, and then at the end of the year or a couple of years later, they're being audited, and they have no idea why they're being audited or what was submitted on their behalf. They give them information, and they think, oh my goodness, like what is this information? Where
Yes.
did this come from? So, I think the due diligence is on the business owner, but it's also on several of the professionals within this industry
Yes.
to educate the individual and educate the entrepreneur, educate the small business owner, and even the medium-sized business owner. It is the responsibility and ethical responsibility, I would say, for these professionals to make sure that they're holding a standard.
Correct. One standard I have that you're talking about standard is
Mm,
I get in touch with my clients every quarter because I find the QuickBooks and Simply Accounting is kind of a quarterly reporting structure.
mm-hmm,
So I keep the meeting with my business owner every quarter. So
Right.
that way, I force them in a way to go and talk to that bookkeeper, get that report,
Yeah.
understand it, and come back to me and say, this is what it looks like. Again, they don't have to apply for a loan, but they look at me as somebody, third party,
Hmm.
holding them accountable to know their numbers.
Yes, and it's a health check actually. If you look at it in that way, it's a health check, right?
Correct.
To see, because you want to know, it's like going in for a doctor's appointment. You want to have an idea of the health before you go and before you need something. So there's nothing worse than, packaging everything and you're excited and you're getting ready because you have something new that you want to bring to the market, and then you can't get funding. And we're talking, it's now because of International Women's Day, but this month that we're dedicating to women, I really want to stress on the fact that, yes, men, some of them, they do have issues getting financed, but the biggest gap right now is for women getting the financing that they need and getting the financial support that they need. So, and that's why I'm asking you all of these detailed questions, because most people, they won't take the time to explain these things to women entrepreneurs, that, you need to have this health check with regards, like, you need to understand your cash flow. They give everything to a bookkeeper, and it could be someone that is a family friend or someone that they know or they've worked with for many years, but you're entrusting someone to take care of that part of your business while you go and you run your business, because you're giving your 120% into that business. And while you're doing that, you're believing that someone is they're watching your back and they're taking care of you. So, in terms of women entrepreneurs, obviously, this is a big thing for us. And I want to make sure that, they're able to come to you. And that's why, another reason, it's not because you work at a particular bank. It's because I know that you've mentored so many in the financial industry, and the information that you share is unbiased. Yes. And it's clear and direct, and it's truthful, which is what we need. The truth may be hard sometimes, but it's better to know it early than you hear it after and you're like, oh, I wish someone had told me that. That's not what you want to hear. You don't want to hear that after the fact and you have to go back to square one. You have to try and figure out what happened. You need to know ahead of time and prepare. So when you go in, you can ask the questions and you can be prepared. Like you said that I keep going back to what you said about, my bookkeeper has all this information, which, it's a norm for most people. And I think they still do that because they don't have a full view of what's in front of them, because they have appointed someone to take care of it.
As a business owner, you cannot delegate financial responsibility.
Yeah, because in the end, it is yours, right? It represents you, and it's your. You may have someone helping you, but in the end, they're not the last. I guess you can say they don't have the last say in it. It's still you, right? Okay, so that's one thing. I don't think we have any questions from the audience, but I just want to make sure I keep checking in because I don't want to take up all your time and everything. But I just wanted to cover that point. And the checklist that we covered, we talked about what we need to do when we are going into packaging. Yes. And then also you said the checkpoint, like quarterly, is good. Yes. Is there anything that you could suggest for in terms of not just cash flow, like is it something that people can sit down maybe at the end of the week and just go over their week and say, okay, this is what we've done. Sure. How can we manage this? And is there anything else that you have that you can possibly, cover or talk to us about today?
I can make a PowerPoint here and say, use technology to your advantage.
Yes.
A lot of banks now are providing smart banking technology, where I spoke about what's coming in, going out. Yes. If you have a one single bank account that manages that, you have now dashboard view on your front screen of your mobile app or online banking to actually see what come in, went out, and the gap. So you don't even have to wait for your bookkeeper. If you did this diligently every week, going into your online banking and looking at your smart banking platform, you are in a position to find that without anybody's help. Okay. And most importantly, if you see your bank account dropping and going into an overdraft, that is my fire alarm. Yes. That tells me that my cash flow is in a bad position And
Mm-hmm.
technology can help you send that alert right into your mobile phone saying your account needs attention.
Okay. So that's a good way. You can set up like alerts or something of the sort. And another thing too, we talk about. I know yesterday one of our experts in cybersecurity, she was talking about people being hacked and then phishing expedition, but things of affecting your actual business. And then earlier today, just before you came on, we had a wonderful lady, Jackie, that spoke about credit
Mm-hmm.
scores and maintaining these things. But is there such a thing for a business? Like I think it was, I can't remember the name of the
Yeah.
company. I think it was Dun and Bradstreet. They used to do reports a long time ago.
Okay.
Is there such a way that you can keep tap on your companies through something like that, or is that only um, through personal? Like, how does a bank how do they differentiate a business from an individual?
Yeah, so the business online banking system is completely different with a different card number. And
Mm-hmm.
also looking at further security, companies which are from million to 50 million may have a delegate who does banking for them. So we
Mm-hmm.
create a different profile for them. That way they cannot do activities which an owner can do. So there are different layer of security plus
Mm-hmm.
transaction limits that can be set for people. So,
Okay.
and some bookkeepers can actually download the statements as well if they are given delegate authority, but they
Mm-hmm.
cannot do any transactions. So we have
Okay.
those restrictions put in.
Okay, perfect. No, that's awesome. And then, so I think if an individual learns that, with regards to their business, they can work with a bookkeeper and also
Yes.
maybe an application like QuickBooks or something else where they can
Yeah.
meld that together and then send it. And that way they can create a nice picture before they actually head in to see someone like yourself. And they can actually prepare what's required. And then, back to your, let me see what I have, 5 minutes or so. Back to the checklist that you have and,
Correct.
things that people need to do when they're going in to apply. Can you just give us, I know you're going to share that checklist with me, but is there anything that you can say to someone like we talk about choose to challenge, which is the International Women's Day motto for this year.
Yes.
Um, is there anything that you would say to a woman, small business owner, entrepreneur, in terms of choose to challenge? Like, it's not
Yeah.
necessarily tell them to go in and choose to challenge your bank, but choose to
Yeah.
challenge maybe the way that you do your projections or the way that you do something where you get information. Is there anything that you want to share with
Yeah.
us?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you chose me because I'm surrounded with three beautiful women: my
Yes,
wife,
I know.
my 5 year old, and a newborn. So you could
Yes.
imagine.
Yeah.
So women stay with me ever, right? Uh,
Yes. Yes.
the common two things I would say to women in business is
Mm-hmm.
please feel that you will be supported. I think that coming in with a positive attitude will lead to positive results. We
Right.
live in a world where nobody is looked a little bit differently anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you feel that, choose another banker, right? So I would say, why not interview three bankers to find out which one is in your favor, right? That is
Right.
step number one. Number two is ensure you know your numbers. So now
Yes.
that we have given you the same level playing field, if I may, then
Mm-hmm.
you shouldn't be excusing yourself from financial number scenarios, right?
Right.
So don't delegate your financial responsibility to your bookkeeper or accountant. You should come in with your numbers and say, yeah, I know my gross profit is that and my operating expense is that. It's
Okay.
creating a 15-day gap. How can
Mm-hmm.
I fix it? Like,
Okay.
that's what we love to hear.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to take that as your choose to challenge to say, you know what? Come in and make and represent yourself truthfully and wholly, because don't depend on someone else. Choose to
No.
challenge that you know what you know more than just your business. You know everything about your business. You're going to come in and you're going to be successful.
And one more thing I can add, maybe third, is
Yes.
come with your team because now you have an opportunity to meet people digitally. I am doing everything digitally for the last 6 months. You don't
Yes.
need somebody to come into your office. You can come in with a team of your people, right? Maybe it's your person who does bookkeeping. Maybe there is a person who does sales and marketing. Maybe
Yes.
somebody else is doing inventory management.
Hmm.
Bring them together to the banker meeting because, yeah,
Yes.
you don't have all the answers, but you got people who you hired to do that. Why not
Right.
bring them as a team? Then you look like a star, a CEO that you always wanted
Exactly.
to be, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, exactly. Instead of like that's it. That's exactly right. You might as well come in. You are a team. They work for you, they work with you, and you're all part of one. So you might as well just do it and then just be that's it. So awesome. Thank you
Stretch
so
the
much.
dollar, stretch the dollar.
Stretch the dollar more. Thank you so much, Apurva. I really appreciate it. So I think we're at the end of your presentation time. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking time today and sharing all that wisdom and knowledge with everyone here. As soon as I get the information from you, we're going to package everything up from this 2-day conference and we're going to share with everyone that registered. And that way they have this as information that they can use at a later time. We'll also share your contact information as well too, if you're willing to
Absolutely.
give that to us. And like if someone may have questions that they didn't want to ask out and I will tell you this is a big thing because some people may not want to ask this question out in the town square. They may just want to contact you directly and ask you
Yes,
the question. So we're going to create that opportunity for them to do that and I'll get your information and share that after. So thank you
absolutely.
again.
Thank
And
you.
yeah,
Thank you,
and we'll
Melanie.
see you again.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Bye, Apurva.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
So that was Apurva Talsania, and he is a commercial banker and an incredible mentor that has mentored so many people in the past and actually continue to mentor. So our next guest is Mark Campbell, and he will be talking about prospecting during COVID and beyond. And not just prospecting, but learning the needs of your clients through whether it's the clone modeling or really reaching a different audience. So I'm looking forward to welcoming Mark. He should be coming on screen with me very shortly. Hey, Mark, how are you today?
Hey, how are you doing? Good.
Very good.
Thanks for having me here on this International Women's Day conference. It's been good. I appreciate you guys doing all the work and progressing a lot of women-led businesses. It's a great thing to happen right now, and things are pushing forward.
Okay, wonderful. So Mark, I just gave just a quick intro about you, which I will do that now. I was just talking about prospecting during COVID and beyond. So one of the things is Mark Campbell. He is a data-driven expert in terms of marketing, worked on many large projects with companies such as Best Buy, Holland America, additional companies, and a lot of small businesses.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Campbell, and I've been in the marketing data-driven business for over around 20 years. I mean, before it was popular for the last 10 years, we were executing on projects that enable companies to leverage using one-to-one data and clone modeling. I'll be using Helicon IQ. That's one of our companies here, but it's going to be listed as in general when I'm just referencing everything about data-driven and one-to-one. Thank you. So journeys to success. I mean, this is one of the main values, what adhere to companies where they want to expand their business into other markets and say the Canadian market and the US. The US right now has been a market where it's been strong. So a lot of Canadian companies that I've worked with now are advertising and marketing really in the states of different areas in the U.S., depending on what their reach they're looking for. And we look to help companies from a early stage right to the end, or even in the middle or to the end of where they're looking to touch base. Growth and development. Some of the areas where people are looking and they try to find areas where they want to grow their business on is one of the areas is through marketing digital, clone modeling, and actually print as well. Print has gotten a kind of a bad rap in terms of because of the pricing, but it does help in terms of different touch points, and it's a very good process to keep in your arsenal of marketing. The whole process is really to increase your business size, make brand awareness, and develop strategic alliances with different companies and your clients. And one of the most important things is using reporting, trackable, that you're able to see what's going on with your marketing campaign. So you can actually shift your spending on different areas. Modeling. I'm going to dive right into on a high level, and then I'm going to just get deeper and deeper on the clone modeling. Clone modeling is an area where not a lot of companies do, but it's getting a lot stronger now in these, especially since this time of COVID. People want to really know who their clients are, and they want to know how can they take their existing best clients and try to find other clients around in different areas, different territories, and things like that. So Market IQ, I mean, that's one of the platforms we use. It's a campaign management, and it's a platform that actually handles data cloning. It's automated, and it has a multi-channel effect. At the same time, you're building prospects and brand loyalty. Our goal is, as we always say, is loyalty programs are easy, prospecting is hard, which it is. It's one thing, once you have your clients, you have to maintain at least a good relationship with them, but finding the prospects that's where, the clone modeling comes in to make the effects and your reach a lot more stronger. So how do you find your potential customer? Good question. This is how we help with clone modeling. Businesses often think that they know who their clients are, and this is a catch-22. It's like, okay, I think my customer is a person from 25 to 35, but in reality, your customer, after we do hygiene and we pull through and sift through peel all the onions, as they say, that popular word, but it's one thing that you find who your customer is, and you actually realize that, no, my customer really is from 40 to 50, and they're the one who's been spending your best dollars at your company. So this is an area where it's like you see a ton of people, but what happens is like, how do I find them? You see everyone walking around, they're all, going about their business. But, in here, we're seeing that from our data clone management point, we can see this is a customer can be, these are customers. So we're pinpointing who these customers are instead of you spending massive amount of dollars in terms of, say, well, I want to advertise, you get a list and it's 100,000 prospect list, but really the 100,000 prospect list may be only 10,000 people in that list. That's probably a good jumping off point. So you're actually wasting money from the 90,000 other prospects that you're buying and you're spending, and it's just a waste of money that most of that stuff goes in landfill or someone's recycle bin on their computer, Existing customers, these are some of the levels that we try to manage from our standpoint. Enterprise, meaning companies who have a larger spend, they want to maximize and pull a larger reach. Or mid-tier is a small to medium-sized business. And we have our automated who company just started up, but they could be as well larger, but they want to test the field and see what the clone can bring back and see who their best prospecting opportunities are. So how we work we determine from a customer base, we find the areas where you're looking to reach. And we say, okay, how do we find that prospect that looks like your best customer? I mean, how you're not reaching them, what are the issues, why you're not reaching? Have you tried reaching out, and what is the outcome you're coming back? And this is where I come back to the reporting. If you're able to see where your reporting is and determine that where my dollars are being spent, it makes a big difference, because now you're able to dive deeper and say, okay, I've been spending money in this demographics, but I'm not getting any return. My lift is minimum, very minimum. I can't even see a lift, right? So these are the areas where the clone, from doing a best customer management, you're able to say, okay, my customer looks like this. I really want to find these customers in the area of, say, Manhattan or Brooklyn or, Miami, different areas. But this is how we say, okay, we will find that, and the clone always bring back the best possible solutions. So this is what happens with the clone and without the clone. When you're in the marketplace and you're pushing the paper on that say, okay, I want to get the people out in Chicago, Illinois, or even Toronto, and say, well, you have all these other businesses, and you're a business who creates billboards and things like that, and then you have 10 other businesses that do the same thing. What happens is, your business is stagnant. Opportunities are very limited because you're working against the other companies who's been in there. Maybe they have a longer track record, and you say, well, how can I reach them? The one thing about the clone, how that works, we're helping you to find that deeper dive to say what makes the difference between that customer and the other customers that you've been trying to target. And they may not even be the best solution. And because you may be looking at customers, as I was saying earlier, customers from 25 to 35, but you should be reaching the customers from 40 to 50. And this is where the omni-channel multi-touch comes in, because you're able to pinpoint using different levels, say digital, Facebook, social, all different areas like that. And then you get that greater response, increase in prospect opportunities. One of the key factors what determine how you manage a clone is that we would take your best customer file and then we will do a hygiene on it. What the hygiene really means is that we're going to clean that data file to make sure there are no individuals who's moved, who've passed away, and just bad addresses and things like that. So this is where your hygiene comes. It's very important because now you don't want to be starting off with bad data. Bad data in means bad data out. So that's not a good thing, because at the end of the day, you're spending the added dollars and for information that is useless. And where it comes down to some of the attributes of a clone is that it goes by a ranking system from 0 to 9, termed model deciles. And what that really means is from 0 is your ideal clone that looks like your best customer. 1 is really good as well, 0 and 1. 2 is still okay. But when we do clones, we manage along from the 0 to 1. Anything above that, like you're getting in the 8 and 9s, they're not that good. The only that the 8 and 9s would probably be an option for you is if you're doing a prepaid option where people who don't have great credit and things like that, so you want to market to them. For example, like a T-Mobile. T-Mobile has a prepaid service. They have over a couple million clients who pay them every month a certain fee. Otherwise, they don't get any phone services. So those, in terms of depends on what you're using it for, that's where you want to be managing. And this is an example of a typical clone where we're going to find the age, gender, occupation, income, if you own your lot, how many individuals in your household, credit card usage, all these different things that we're able to find out that is still on a customer level, that is not invading on people's privacy. So because some of these things people will list out, say they don't want to be on a contact list, they don't want to be on a certain type of list, so those people get crossed out automatically. So we're not recruiting those people into the clone model. And this is an outcome of a typical, a smaller clone. So it shows dwelling family, single family owner, homeowners, ages 34 to 60. This was a broader range depending on this one here. Length of residence, length they've been at their home, and home size, net worth, and all these different things. So you can see different areas. We're using this as from Texas. 10 people fit the clone model in Dallas, and 25 Irving, and 33 in Plano, and different areas like that. So this is an example of a data-driven clone. What happens is we were saying, okay, age, this is who, from a standpoint, from you're a customer saying, okay, this is what we want to find. We want to find the age, marital status, income, dwelling, interest, occupation, etc. Right? So we're modeling that to fit this person here. This way it leads over to here, this micro segment, and then we can say, okay, we want to really dive deeper and say, okay, what is ethnicity? The language they speak in the home, if it's Spanish or Korean, different languages from there. And that's how you can build your campaign. You can say, well, I want to target this area. I don't want to target these individuals that look best, that would fit the clone model. This is an example of an intelligent email e-video. So what that really means is mass market. A lot of companies now, agencies, they will use a mass market approach. That means they're taking your entire list and they're going to market to everyone. And I was mentioning earlier, really that doesn't fit because you've just maybe spent thousands of dollars on your list. I mean, pushing out from your list of 100,000 when really you only had 10,000. So from the clone is saying Juan Garcia best meets your clone, and it has all the right assets, what you're looking for, and attributes that fit your model. So in here, low model to select individuals, spam risk, all these different things would associate with emails and digital marketing. From a clone, you're looking at dynamically from a 1-to-1. You're saying, okay, I'm targeting, I'll say Mark Campbell 1-to-1 from a digital aspect, from digital marketing, where there's digital ads, email, landing pages, Facebook, different areas like this. So that's why it's very important to kind of stick with the 1-to-1 and rather than going over to your mass market. I've used an example here of an insurance company we worked with. I just took out the name, but here it is. The problem was declining conversion rates, competitive pressures from other insurance companies. So what was the solution we came was deliver a 1-to-1 marketing process for them because they're saying, well, they had problems hitting in areas in the US for, say, the general market, the African American, Latino English, Latino Spanish. So from this point, we're able to figure out what worked best from the clone model, and then we're able to drive the data. I mean, the creative was produced from what the data gave us. So if the data was giving us a match of, say, 50% that majority of the list speaks Spanish in the home, then definitely you want to create a piece that says that's in language, in Spanish, that comes directly to them. They're receiving it on their email, they're receiving it from their direct mail, and they're receiving it from the ads, digital ads. So from here, we actually did the benefits from that. It was a lower cost printed piece, which I mentioned, lower delivery, and brand integration worked really well. Results, they had a massive increase in sales from response, general market, Latino English, and African American. It's very important that we're able to record and we're able to get the reporting, do the analysis, and show the customer. And from your standpoint, if you're coming in, you want to see these results. You want to see, even if you're not getting massive results, you want to see what your dollars are being spent on. So I'm going to dive right into targeted marketing. And this is a little bit what I've discussed before, but from a high level, I'm going to discuss with digital and how digital works. And digital is an area where it's very broad. You have different attributes from digital. You have CTV, OTT, and CTV. CTV is connected TV, OT is over the top. And over the top is something that terminates on your phone from say, if you're from a vendor, the person is promoting, gain flings. And what that happens is you want to watch something where you've actually visited. So if you want to watch a video, the only way you're going to go to the next step of watching that video is actually to watch that commercial. So these commercials are non-skippable. And the same thing happens with the CTV. CTV is being terminated at a device, like, for example, a Roku or a Fire Stick and areas like this. So if you're watching a free movie, Pop Flicks, things like that, you're going in and you're watching a movie, all of a sudden it comes up, your commercials, 2 to 3 commercials come in, and there's 15 seconds long, 15 to 30 seconds. So it's very important you understand a little bit of that. Example is, say, Crackle, if you're on there and an ad comes up, Procure. So if you want to watch Crash, you gotta watch this commercial that will take you through, and then say, okay, then it takes you to your movie. So those are the things, if people bear with, because they're watching a free movie. But at the end of the day, marketers saying, wow, this is a great opportunity, because now they're seeing my product that they can't skip. This is what we call really digital display, geofencing. So we're geofenced this area of Mississauga right up to Blue Mountain, and went over all the way across Markham, going down to Toronto. So what we would do, we would come back and say, okay, from this entire list of people what match the people we want to find out, the records may come back to say 18,000 people. So what this is, we're really just drawing a perimeter around each of these spaces where we know these people are. So it's not selecting all of this, because this is wasted space, because these people do not match the personality and attributes who we're looking for. So that's the difference between, so you're only selecting what you want. And once you pass through that perimeter here, that means now your phone is tagged. Now we can serve you up ads and do retargeted ads to your phone. So when you open up the Weather Network, you see an app says, 10% off on your next purchase at somewhere, right? That's how that works. When you see these ads, people are targeting you because they may have geofenced your home, or if you walk through an area, could be a bank, could be an arena, watching a Raptors game, Maple Leafs, wherever that is, you're able to come in and say they're going to now target you from those areas. And these are some of the examples. This is the size here, 320. This is a 300, which is a larger size, and a 320 by 480. There's two other sizes, but these ones are just shown right now. What happens is what we do is in real time, we are buying these spaces from the budget that is allocated. And sometimes your spend, you may have, instead of 1,000 ads, you're only getting maybe 500, because we've bought more of these ads, because what happens is people are engaging in these size ads more so than these smaller ads. And we noticed that a big lift when we did that recently with it was a conference for MBA. People wanted to receive their MBA. That was very important, because we had a lot of clicks using this smaller size, but the engagement was at least 20% higher than the people who were clicking on this. They were going to the landing pages. They were spending time on the landing pages that were that actually benefited what they were looking for. So that's very important to understand. And it's always a good thing maybe to do a little research when you want to do some digital ads. You're finding out, how's my spending? And that's one good question you'd want to ask the company you're working with, to say, out of these dollars spent, how's best that's going to fit my budget, and what do you suggest? And they may come back and say, well, you should do social, you do Facebook ads, LinkedIn, things like that, or you just want to stay on and just target a lot around digital ads. Could be video digital ads as well. So it's not just for static. This can be a video that you want to run, and it runs a video of your product and things like that. One of the areas what we try to manage, and it's very important, is that from this here, it shows 906 from your mail tracking. So we've done 906 mailers, and we've come back and told you out of them were scanned, 904 was scanned. So we know that 904 to 906 reached the people's homes. So it's telling us 99.78% was delivered. And this is where it comes back down to your tracking, which I said was very important, always to manage that. This is a sample of a digital display. It's showing 6,559 impressions, 62 clicks. Your response rate on that was 1.02. This is very good. People might say, oh, it's pretty low, but just so you know, understanding from a digital standpoint, from these clicks, is the norm is 0.25%, which is considered good. So when you're seeing higher numbers, that makes a difference. You say, okay, it's working. Then you can dive deeper and say, where are they clicking from? Just as I was mentioning earlier, are they clicking on the larger size? What ads are actually resonating with the people who are receiving the information? And this comes back down to your Facebook, your spend CPM, your impressions, what went out, and the amount of clicks went into there from here. And same again, point two. So this is doing better than what your average rate of areas are. So that's it for here. But I mean, I'm welcome any questions. So again, thank you, Startup Appeal, International Women's Day. And my name is Mark Campbell. And if you're interested, I can always find out a little bit more about, or interested just to find in general of how, best options for your business. It doesn't have to be working with me. I can always share some of my points and some of my experience with you. And I'm totally willing to do that. It's always great to interact with people. Thank you.
So Mark, thank you so much for taking the time and going through talking about prospecting, especially now during COVID and, beyond, and the work that you do in terms of clone modeling. So what I'd love to understand a bit more, I know we'll check to see if we have questions from the audience. I think we're doing pretty well for time. So one of the questions was really about how you talked about different size businesses. So if I was a small business and I had, say, a budget of $500 a month to spend on my marketing, would I be able to come to you and say, Mark, I only have this amount of dollars. Is there a way that you can help me so I can, formulate a better plan and how I can manage that and help myself?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, with digital, I would suggest to go digital because of the spend, because you don't want to touch mail if you're running with a $500 budget. That's going to eat up your budget. Digital, you're talking a couple cents per impression. So therefore, you can use that and say, well, I'm going to get this amount of impressions, and I'm going to target these areas. And when we're running on our platform, it will tell you pretty much, say, if you're putting $500 of your spend, you'll say, well, okay, you're going to get this amount of impressions. And this is some of the things what we find is very important, so people can know right off the bat that what they're spending. So I mean, definitely $500 is always a good place to start at. I mean, because you can see from the reporting what's working, what's not. You may want to split it in two, right? Things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. And I see a question here from the audience. They're asking, what countries can we apply this technology in? So they're asking, I guess, because you covered a lot of the U.S. when you were talking. So I guess people are looking to see, can this be used in Canada? And if you can just cover that, please.
Sure. Yes, you can use it in Canada. Different laws we have to abide by in Canada. Spam laws and things like that. We can also use it in Europe in areas like this. Digitalized geofence can be done worldwide. It's someone when you're going deeper down, if you want to use clone modeling, it may be on a higher level. It's not going to be as deep dive as, say, in the US. You still can do a clone model here, but we would just work it differently in terms of what the attributes are we can actually use. GDPR over in Europe, all these areas, you're still, because you're not invading on someone's privacy in terms of sending them a digital ad, because they've already clicked on something that may have brought them that digital ad to display. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and then I know the stress has been digital ads. One of the things that, from, I guess, personal experience, when you see something and I'm on my weather app and I see a mobile ad, I see an ad, so I click on it and it drives to, I guess, a landing page where I can fill out more information. So I think, when we talk about privacy, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you talk about privacy for here in Canada, if somebody clicks on your digital ad, goes to that landing page and that person fills out the information, then that person's basically giving you, not implied consent, but they're giving you implicit consent based on CAN-SPAM laws to say, yes, you can market to me because I want more information. You're not guessing. So is that correct, or am I thinking of it incorrectly? Yes, that's correct. Great answer. Great question. Great answer. The thing is, once you click on it, you fill the information, you've now opted in That's where the term opt-in comes in, or opt-out. If you opt out, that means you don't want to receive nothing from this type of information, and that company will X you out of their data. So opting in means that you can receive information, and that's the beauty of having a landing page, because a landing page gives that strong usage. Interaction.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you. We're coming up close to our 2 o'clock mark. We're going to be bringing on, I shouldn't say 2 o'clock mark, but 2 o'clock time that we will be bringing on Sola from BDC. But I wanted to say thank you so much. Mark, we will be sharing your information, contact information with all registrants and attendees for the conference. So if they have more questions with regards to marketing, digital marketing, they will be contacting you, and can probably share some additional information with them as to how to reach you and how you can work with them. So thank you again for joining us today at Sutter Peel International Women's Day First Digital Conference. Thank you much.
Thank you very much for having me. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone. So now we are going to be bringing Sola. So, Shaw.
Hi.
Hi, Shaw. Shola's from BDC. So I just wanted to say thank you for joining us today. And I'm actually going to step off screen and let you start. I don't want to take up your time. And you can introduce yourself and talk about what you're going to be doing today and sharing with us. Okay? Thank you, Shola.
So good afternoon, ladies. I'm really excited to be here with you this afternoon. As Melanie said, my name is Sola Oluwole. Just a little bit about me. And I'm an account manager at BDC, and I'm very passionate about women entrepreneurs. So I'm so excited to be in your midst this afternoon. And this afternoon, I'm going to be talking about managing your finances, managing the finances for your business. Okay, so this past year has been some year. I think we can all admit it. And it's been particularly difficult for business owners. They've had to pivot in ways that they never imagined that they would. And they keep facing new challenges every day. So that's why I'm excited to be here to be able to share with you some concrete strategies to be able to manage your finances as a business owner. Okay. All right. So a recent study that was done, a recent survey that was done for Canadian business owners showed that 93% of them said that they knew what it took to manage their business properly financially. But in actual fact, when they were asked the financial literacy questions, only 7% of them got the questions correctly. Okay, and what that goes to show me is that it's easier for you to wrap your head around the concept, but it's more challenging for you to actually practice it, to deliver on it. I mean, it's just like diet. You know, if you ask the average person how to live a healthy or lead a healthy lifestyle, they know what to do. But now the challenge is actually doing it to get the result that you desire. Okay, and what we found out is that most times business owners don't realize this gap in their financial acumen until it's time for them to get a loan or maybe get an investor, you know, for their business. So this afternoon, we're just going to be talking about managing your finances. And the thing is that you're not alone. These are common things that we hear from business owners. You know, it sounds like my business looks profitable, but there's never enough cash to do all that I want to do. Or my profits are decreasing and I don't know why. And the most common one is, I just don't understand what my accountant is talking about. Now, I want you to just drop in the chat. Let me know which one resonates most with you, you know, where you find yourself. And I'm just going to take a look quickly. Yeah. Okay, I'll keep it going. So these are the things that we normally hear from business owners. So today I'm going to share with you a three-step approach to improve your financial management skills as a business owner. And these are the 3 steps that we're going to be talking about today. The very first one is monitor your performance. A lot of people have a vague idea of what is going on in their business. And if we are being honest, in this pandemic, in these strange times that we have found ourselves, that is not good enough. You need to have a clear sight of what is going on in your business. Now, the second point is take action to improve, right? So once you are tracking your finances, or you're monitoring your finances, now you should do better, right? They say if you know better, you do better. So that would be take action to improve. Now, once you have done these two processes, you might actually realize that you need financing to be able to take your business to the next level. So now let's dig deeper and take a look at each one of these points. Okay, so the very first one, like I mentioned earlier, is monitor your performance. And there are various ways by which we can do this. The most common one, which most people are familiar with, is through the use of the financial statements, right? Your financial statements have your income statement, which is also known as the profit and loss statement. It also has your balance sheet, and it has your statements of cash flow. Okay. Another way that you can monitor performance is through key ratios, and those key ratios are based on the figures in your financial statements. The popular ones are profitability ratios, efficiency ratios, liquidity ratios, and I want to advise you regarding the ratios. It will be a good thing to talk to your accountant to see which one is most relevant to your business. Now, the third thing, which is where I'm going to spend most of my time, on this point, is using a cash flow planner, right? Mind you, a cash flow planner is different from the statements of cash flow. A cash flow planner is forward-looking, while a statement of cash flow is more historical. Okay, all right. So I move on to making your financial projections. So the very first step to improving your financial management is to plan for the coming months. And you do this by making financial projections, right? So financial projections help you to anticipate the peak season of your business, or when things are a little bit tight, when you can embark on a project, or when you need to cut back in your expenses. And the second step after doing that will be then to track your progress. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so now taking it a little bit deeper, talking about developing a cash flow planner. Managing your cash is like one of the most important jobs that you would do as a business owner. So we found out that even some profitable businesses, they go under because they took their eyes off the cash, right? They ran into a cash crunch. So you have to be constantly aware of the cash flow in your business. That is why we recommend you having a cash flow planner. We don't see that a lot of times with business owners. So we recommend you having a cash flow planner. And you can do this, if you're a fancy business owner, you can use softwares, but if you're not too techy, Excel is fine. You can just use a spreadsheet in Excel to plan your cash flow, okay? And once you have done these projections, as I mentioned previously, then you will need to track, your actual performance against the projections. And one of the benefits of planning ahead is that it just gives you peace of mind, right? It helps you to know what's going to happen. You're not very apprehensive as a business owner. So what is cash flow really? That's what we're going to be talking about next. Cash flow is the lifeblood of any business, and from the name, it's a flow, right? There's an inflow and there's an outflow. It's just like a river. The way a river flows, it probably has its source from somewhere, and it's emptying itself into a bigger body of water or tributaries or whatever you want to call it. So the same thing with your cash. You have the inflow and then you have the outflow, right? So what the cash flow planner helps you to do, like I said, is to monitor when you have abundance of cash to take on a project, or when you need to cut down, or where you need, to just rein things in a little bit. So let's look at the tool in itself. So before you now, you have an example of a cash flow planner. And this is a rolling cash flow planner. I'm just going to put on my annotation so you can see. All right. Okay. So this is a rolling cash flow planner, and we did it on a simple spreadsheet. Like I said, you can just do that for yourself. And as you can see in week 1, this business owner, she's starting the week with $10,000. Okay, and the very first step for you to be able to have an effective cash flow planner is to outline all your cash inflows. What are the sources of cash in your business? Now, this is different from sales. We're not talking about sales now. We're talking about actual cash coming in, irrespective of the source. So it can be receivables from your customers. It can be a loan to your business. It can be cash sales. Whatever brings in cash, that is what you're going to list as under your cash inflows. Also, you're going to go ahead and list your cash outflows. So all the payables, all the payroll, operating expenses, anything that is taking cash out of your business, you list that. So now going back to this business owner, like I said, she started her week 1 with 10,000, or she's planning to start. Let's say, since it's a plan, it hasn't happened yet. So this is futuristic. Okay, so she's planning to start with $10,000, and she's got these inflows amounting to 3,000, then her outflows amounting to 4,000. So at the end of week 1, she has an outlay of 1,000. Of course, when you take 4,000 out of 3,000, there's a negative there, right? So if you then take that out of the 10,000, you see that she's ending that week, or she's likely to end that week with $9,000, right? So this $9,000, which is the ending cash balance for week 1, is then transferred, is brought up here to serve as the opening balance for week 2. Now, in week 2, she's also listed her receivables, her cash sales, and we see this huge money coming in here. And this is a loan that she took to be able to buy a forklift for her business. Okay, so that's how come you see this. So, like I said, irrespective of where the money is coming from, you need to, reflect it in your cash flow planner. So then she goes on to mention her accounts payable, payroll, monthly expenses, and finances, financing expenses, like she's paying interest or whatever. And then she has an outlay of 9,800, okay? And if you deduct that so if you add that to the beginning of this one, it gives you 18,800, because the previous one was a deduction, right? But this one is a surplus. So you're going to add it to the 9,000, giving you 18,800. Now that you will carry again to week 3. And then the same thing goes on here in the cash inflow. And then when you get here, you see that there's an increase in her accounts payable. And that is because that was exactly when she bought the forklift that she took the loan for. So in that case, that is an outflow of cash out of her business, okay? And then you have the other expenses. And if you look here at the financing expenses as well, she plans to spend $650. And this is because now she has a loan, and she's beginning to pay back the interest on the loan. And so then she ends the 3rd week with $6,950. Okay, and it goes on and on and on like that. So when you come up with a planner as such, that is the future. That is what you're hoping would happen, right? So now when the week actually starts to happen, you need to start to impute the actual expenses, the actual inflows. So maybe you create an extra column here and you name it actual. I think I lost my laser pointer. Yes. So maybe you can insert an extra column here, and call it actual. And then at the end of the actual week, you're able to see how off you were, and then you're able to adjust the week 2, the future week 2. So by so doing, you're able to monitor the cash need in your business, right? The cash inflow, the cash outflow, you have an oversight, on what is going on. You're not at loss as to what is going on. You want to buy an equipment, you want to maybe upgrade your, your website, you want to launch your e-commerce site. You have an oversight as to whether you would have money to do that or not. So I'll move on to the next slide. Okay, sorry. My mouse is really sensitive, so it's running ahead of itself, so pardon me. Okay, so you may have been hearing me throwing around some big words, and you're wondering, especially if you don't have a finance background, it can come across as a little bit intimidating. So that's why I'm happy to share with you that at BDC, we actually have a dictionary for this financial or finance related words. All you need to just do is Google BDC glossary, and then you find it there. It looks something like this. This is the French one showing on the screen. So we have it both in French, and we have it both in French and in English. So that would really help. I hope that helps somebody. Okay, so let's move on to the second point. The very first point was monitor your performance. The second one now is take action to improve. Now that I've shown you a tool, one of the tools that we use in actually improving your financial management, I'd like to show you how that might help. Okay, so one of the actions that you might be able to take, from knowing how money is coming in and going out, is to ensure that you get paid faster. Okay, if you know that you're going to need money in the future, you plan yourself in such a way that you get paid faster. And one of the ways you can do that is to get your invoice out of the door as soon as possible. I know, I used to be a business owner, so I know how difficult it was for me to have money conversations. And it's typical of us women, and we sort of shy away. The majority of women shy away from money conversations. But once you provide a service, you definitely need to get paid for it. And some of these accounting softwares, they would actually allow you to be able to send invoices on the spot. And they might even have a link that your clients can click on and make their payments as soon as possible. Now, the second point is get tough on deadbeats. And who are deadbeats? Those are the ones that are always late in paying their bills. You follow up, and they just end up being late. For those people, you might need to maybe take like a partial payment upfront or a full payment upfront, or even implement late fees. But I know that women, we are nice. I think it would be better for us to just take the payment upfront as against implementing the late fees. Now, the third one under this is fire your problem customers. Some customers are just not worth it. They are not worth the energy. They are not worth the time. They are the ones that always complain about a product or a service. They are the ones that always return stuff, and they just consume your resources, wasting your time, wasting the time of your employees. So just get rid of those kind of business owners in order to get the cash flowing, okay? Secondly, control your cash outflows. Control your cash outflows. And you can do this by managing your variable costs, look at your company's expenses and how you can rein in some of the expenses, how you can improve, shop around to see if you can get better rates. Same thing as fixed costs, maybe you can shop around for your insurance is a fixed cost. You have to pay business insurance, whether you like it or not. You have to pay rent, whether you like it or not. So shop around to see how you can get the best deal such that you are controlling the money leaving your business. Also invest in technology. Technology will help you to save on, some wastes within your business. And a good one is actually giving incentives to staff. So maybe like a reward for staff members that are able to identify areas where you can save on cost. So that's a good one to implement as a business owner. Okay, so the third one is take control of your inventory. Say the business you're running is a seasonal business, right? The demand is high at a certain time of the year and is low at a certain time of the year. It will make no sense for you to keep the same level of stock or inventory all through the year. So you just need to keep an eye on that, know when to stock up, know when to reduce your inventory. You can also use softwares to monitor your inventory. So also build strong relationships with your suppliers. Identify those suppliers that will go the extra mile to help you to be successful in your own business, that would offer you, say, discounts, or they will give you some time to pay them back, okay? And like I mentioned in the previous slide, dump losing products. Initially I had said get rid of clients that are giving you problems. Get rid of products that are giving you problems. Products that are not bringing in money. You can't be emotional about it. You just have to get rid of those things that are not really bringing in money to your business. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to go to the third point, which is get the financing you need. Okay. I know that this is a tricky one. A lot of people will say, no, I don't want to take a loan and this and that. And I've come across that in my conversations with female business owners, especially. Okay. But let's say you have the plan to expand your business. Perhaps you'd like to buy a new piece of equipment, like that lady that bought, the forklift in the cash flow panel that I shared with you earlier, And many business owners make the mistake of actually taking money from their everyday cash to make such investments. And what that does is it makes cash scarce. It makes things tight. When you then need the cash, the working capital to run the business, to pay salaries, to do things like that, it's nowhere to be found. Okay? And that approach can put a lot of stress on you as a business owner and also on your business. Okay? So often a better choice is actually to get a business loan to be able to finance your projects. Okay. So on the screen now, you can see the associated costs related with getting a real estate, okay? So at BDC, I should mention that at BDC, we are project-based lenders, right? So in this example that you see on your screen, this business owner, let's call her Mary. She wants to buy, say, a commercial condo, and maybe it's going to cost her $1 million, right? And she comes to her banker and says she needs $1 million. And the banker says, okay, what do you need it for? And it's just her $1 million. Do you think that would be enough to cover the whole project? I don't think so, because if you look at this slide, you have renovations and repairs if she has to do that. There's downtime of moving, there's permits to be gotten, you have the closing costs, you have the purchase, there's a whole lot that goes into a project and the cost of the item itself. I'll give you another example. I was having a conversation with one of my clients recently, and he wants to buy an equipment that will be built in Alberta and shipped down here to Ontario. So he told me that it's going to cost him $360,000. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Let's have a deeper conversation about it. So when I began to ask him, so is this 360 inclusive of shipping costs, training costs, installation costs and things like that? And he was like, actually, I'm not sure. I need to get back to you on that. So as a business owner, you need to just think about the whole project, think about it holistically. And that is the amount you then take to your banker to say, this is how much I need. Okay. All right. So moving on to the difference between debt and equity. when we speak with women business owners, that I've been pointing out, there's a real misconception about taking business loans, right? And I just want to take a quick moment to just highlight what really is debt and what is equity, and maybe point out some of the pros and cons as it relates to each of these sources of financing for your business. Okay. So a lot of us are familiar with, in our personal lives, we're familiar with maybe an overdraft from the bank or a line of credit or whatever. So the same way those things are available to us personally is the same way they are available to you as a business owner. And there's even much more available to you. There's equipment financing, there's real estate financing, there's maybe credit from your suppliers and things like that. So I'll dig deeper into this in the next slide here. So what you see here is you can see debt, on the left side of the screen, and then you can see equity on the right side of the screen. Of course, we know that debt is when you borrow money, okay? When you take a loan from your bank, or maybe, who knows, even family and friends can give you a loan. But just be careful, when you're taking loans from family and friends, make sure you have something written down, highlighting the terms of the loan, the interest, the repayments, and everything. Because we all know that money and family and friends is a bit tricky. So in order to preserve your relationships, my advice would be that have something written down. And, you can even take the advice of a lawyer, when it comes to borrowing from family and friends. So you can borrow from financial institutions, from suppliers, like I mentioned earlier, crowdfunding, factoring companies, and the likes. And then when it comes to equity is just raising the funds yourself or maybe through other people. Personal savings, family and friends, venture capitalists, private equity investors, and the list goes on and on. Now let's go to the pros and the cons, okay? So for debt finance, there are a few pros, right? And one of them is you retain a full control of your business. And I'm going to contrast that with equity. Okay, if you're raising funds, say you're registered on the stock exchange, or you even go to a friend and you raise funds through equity, they would probably want to have control or a say in what goes on in your business. But if you take a loan from the bank gives you the loan and just, trust that you're going to deliver on the business plan or whatever you said you want to use the money for. So that is one advantage. Another advantage is that costs are tax deductible, right? It might not show so much at the beginning, but as time goes on, it will begin to have a lot of effect on your bottom line. When it comes to these tax issues, I would advise that you speak to your accountant and see how you can maximize, the benefit of the cost savings when it comes to loans. Also, another advantage for debt is that the repayment is flexible. Some of the banks would actually give you good terms in terms of repaying your loans, okay? Now, when it comes to the cons, of course, one of the cons is that you have to pay back, right? You have to pay back the loans, and the loan payment often commences almost immediately after you take the loan, except maybe you find a bank that is willing to give you a few months of principal postponements while you maybe find your footing. So in those months, you're just only paying interest, and say after 6 months, then the payment of the principal kicks in. Okay, and another con is that you definitely need to show some maybe collateral or some some capital to show that you have something to back the loan up against. Just to give the lenders some level of comfort. Now, going to equity. The pros is that you don't need to pay back, right? You just, maybe it's from your pocket, it's from friends. And another pro is that, you can provide the investors can provide additional credibility, for your skill, maybe when eventually you want to go to a bank or something. The con is that, like I mentioned earlier, they would want to have a say in your business. And honestly, it might be difficult for you to be able to raise the funds or take time, for you to be able to find somebody who would invest in your business. And it can also be costly, okay? So like I mentioned earlier, family and friends, when they invest, make sure that you have a document just, stating and showing the terms of the agreement, okay? So I'm going to move on to the 5 C's that your bankers look out for when they are trying to loan you money. Now, I'm not going to dwell on this because I know that Apurva has shown you how you can package your loan applications. But I just wanted to highlight these 5 C's, and they are character, capacity, capital, condition, and collateral, as you can see on the screen. So when it comes to character, it's talking about your management skills. Can you really deliver on what you're promising? Can you deliver on your business plan? Do you have the experience to deliver on your business plan? Capacity, do you have the ability to pay, right? They want to know if what your repayment pattern has been in the past. And that's the same thing with, it's similar to capital, right? They want to check your previous performance, your current performance, and how the business is doing. When it comes to conditions, they also would put some conditions, and that you need to look out for, right, when you are taking your loans. And like I said before, C, collateral. They want to know that, their risk is sort of hedged, when you're taking a loan from them. Now, these are the things which I suppose Apurva must have mentioned as well, that you need to look out for when you are taking a loan, okay? A lot of people are fixated on the interest rate. And I want to just advise, don't just focus on the interest rate such that you lose the other things that may come in the package, right? So as a bank might offer you a slightly higher interest rate than another banker, but then they're giving you a longer amortization period, or the terms and conditions of the loan are more favorable to your business, right? So those are the things that you need to look out for when you're taking a loan. Also ask questions. Do they have somebody who is specialized in your kind of business? Just ask questions to know that the banker is actually interested in the success of your business, okay? And I'll just highlight a few common mistakes to avoid. I think I've maybe mentioned a little bit about it earlier. It's borrowing too little, okay? In the real estate example that I showed before, if the person had borrowed just 1 million as against maybe 1.5 million that is needed for the whole project, then that project won't be a success. So as much as we are conservative as women, let's evaluate the whole project and borrow enough to make sure that our businesses succeed. Another mistake that I want to highlight often is borrowing too late, right? So when it becomes urgent, when it's at the dying minute that you need money, the lender can sense it, right? And it doesn't bode well for you because it shows that you lack in planning ability. And when they are considering the whole package, that will come up in the evaluation. Maybe when they are writing the loan, to be able to get approvals from the guys in the credit department, that might come up in your loan write-up. So you don't want to be desperate, I would say. The planning ahead will help you. The cash flow planner that we talked about will help you to see when you need the cash, and then you'll be able to go to the lender in time, okay, and be able to get the money that you need. And then you can work together, you can partner together to ensure that your business succeeds. Okay, all right. So just a little bit about BDC in case you do not know about us. Our mission is to ensure that Canadian business owners are successful. And how do we do this? We do this by extending customized financing, by extending capital and financial and advisory services, not just financial, advisory services. So we have a plethora of advisory services that we offer because we know that, the success of the business is not just dependent on money. Some people have the money, but they don't have the skill to go along to make their businesses successful. Now, we've been talking about managing your finances for a little while now. And one of our advisory packages is actually financial management, right? So we have things that back you up in whatever area that we discover that maybe your business is a little bit wanting. And we work hand in hand with you to ensure that you're successful. All right, I think that's it from me today. Okay, like I said, my name is Sola, and I'm an account manager with BDC. I'm very happy to connect with you. You can just put on your camera and scan that QR code, and it will take you to my LinkedIn page, and I'll be happy to have conversations with you even after this. We also have resources that, like I mentioned, we have the glossary. We also have a women entrepreneurs page on our website. We also have a few toolkits that you can actually have access to. So I would advise that you visit our website, and I also will drop some links in the chat that you can actually refer to.
That was so awesome. Thank you, Shola. That was fantastic. And, you know, this is actually, even though this is a virtual event, it's one that, like, based on the yearly events that we do with Startup Canada, BDC has always been one of our biggest partners. You know, the last time we went to Ottawa, we sat with everyone and we talked about, you know, the needs of many women entrepreneurs, right back to the time that we saw the launch of some of the new commercials and everything, you know. So very, very grateful that you're able to join us today. And we're not losing the tradition of having BDC part of Startup Canada. So, you know, this is amazing because that's been the biggest thing for many women entrepreneurs is trying to get the funding. You know, for myself, running the startup community in the region of Peel and also even outside of Peel region, I get so many questions about funding and, you know, how can I approach somebody at BDC? Where can I find a BDC office? And, you know, it's my job to be like an intermediary. I will introduce someone or email Claudine or Laura and say, okay, who's in my area that I can send or who in this area I can send to somebody? So, and I will honestly tell everyone that's here today is that you're always very receptive. So BDC is extremely receptive to any of the inquiries that come to them. So it's not like they're sitting to go, no, I'm not going to answer it. No, they answer you very quickly. And, you know, to your points today, everything that you shared with us, in preparation for coming to BDC and the different programs that you offer in terms of managing your finance. I know that some of them, they've made it a little bit easier to just go online. I think one of the programs, correct me if I'm wrong, is up to $100,000. They can do the application online, but then you all have different portfolios. So whether it be tech, different stores or whatever. So if you can, you know, go into a little bit more information with regards to what you can apply for online and what you need to do when you need to go into a branch. I know COVID has changed some of this, but maybe you can share some of that information.
Yeah, for sure. I'll be happy to. Okay, so our online financing platform is for any financial need up to 100,000. Right? So if you need working capital up to 100,000, you can just go online and apply for it. And you're likely to get an answer within 5 business days. It's very straightforward, very quick. It's all online. And the thing is that it's not as rigorous as if you were to come into the branch or talk to one of us, right? But then once it goes beyond 100 or something, you need to speak with somebody like me, and then we'll have the conversation, getting to know your business and actually getting to know your need. Because sometimes you think this is what you need, but after having a conversation with us, we unearth, you know, more needs. And like I said, beyond even financing, you know, say your manufacturing plant is not operating optimally, we have an advisory mandate called operational efficiency, specifically designed for manufacturers to help run their plants properly. You know, so we have that. We have the financing. So say you want to buy, like I've been saying, you want to get an equipment, you want to buy a commercial condo, you want to upgrade your website, any project that you want to do, we can have a discussion about it, and then we can come alongside you to ensure that it's successful.
Okay, no, that's great. And then in terms of that, Shola, are there programs where BDC, because, you know, most people say, what is BDC? Business Development Bank of Canada. It is a Crown Corporation. So is there programs? I've heard of programs before. I don't know if they're still running now. So you can, like I said, you're going to make me honest today. So, so I think there was programs before where I think it's like, if someone has go to the regular bank, but there are some programs that are backed by DC. Are these programs still running now during COVID, or has it things shifted?
Did you say programs that are backed by EDC or BDC?
No, BDC.
Yes, even more so now, that we have the pandemic. Like recently, the government launched the HASCAP, loan for highly affected businesses. So we come behind that and we guarantee those loans. So yes, those things are still going on.
Okay, excellent.
And I should add that on our website, we have tons of free resources. We have the articles. If you go to bdc.ca, on the top right corner, you'll see articles and tools. There's tons of free resources there for business owners. And if you scroll to the bottom of the page, of the main page, you see I am a woman entrepreneur. When you click on that, then it opens you up to a world of women entrepreneurs.
Okay, excellent. That's good to know, because I know when you get on the page, there's a lot of information, but the fact that you have a part that's designated for women entrepreneurs is extremely helpful, because then you're not trying to find a needle in a haystack. It's there for you. You can find it. So it makes that so much easier. I'm going to prompt Arlene. So if there's any questions from the audience, just she can let me know. But I think we have another 5 minutes or so before the next panelist start. But I just want to, since you're here with Sola, ask as many questions as possible.
Yeah,
and I know that on your website there's a ton of resources that we can have access to, and like even the business plan. When I hear about business plan, we've been talking about that since this morning, and even part of yesterday as well too. I noticed that not all business plans look the same. Some institutions may look for something a little bit different. So I see there's a question here. So it says, any business that typically have a harder time getting funded, and what is the most common reason?
Sorry, the question again, please.
Okay, so are there any businesses that typically have a harder time getting funded, and what are the common reasons?
Oh, okay. I wouldn't say, there are businesses that find it difficult. I think it depends on your individual business. What's going on in your business. Fine, maybe some banks may have their strategies, say they want to invest in manufacturing, the manufacturing industry, or they want to focus on this. That may be going on, but then generally it boils down to what is going on in your business. What are your books saying? What's your financial projection? What do you plan for your business? How is your business going to benefit the Canadian economy? So you need to be able to justify what you're doing in your business for you to be able to get funding.
Okay, so it's not necessarily a business in a vertical per se, like maybe like a restaurant or something. It is. It's based on the business itself.
Yes. Restaurants are still being funded, different businesses are still being funded, but you just need to be able to prove that, when you have that conversation with your lender, you need to have your homework. So as they are asking the questions, you have the answers for them, right? Yeah. You come with confidence, so that, because they're giving you money, right? They have to be sure that you know what you're doing. So I think that's what I would say.
Okay, yeah, and I know Apurva touched on that before. It's like when they're going in to ask for something, and then, my bookkeeper has all that information, or another person has all that information. Then it's almost as if you don't know as much about your business as you. Yes, exactly. Right. Okay, yeah. Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, I think that I will see if there's any other questions, but I do know that we will share that link. In terms of, what is available to them. And then the website, I will share that, and Sola, Brooke, I think Claudine, Brooke is here as well too. So I can share your contact information, and then.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and then, it'll be part of a package that we're going to be giving out with the attendees. So basically just to say if anyone wants to reach out to you, I always like to ask permission first. We can do that. So I think that'll be a good way, a good way to do that, just to make sure that we're not leaving anyone, that no one's falling between the cracks. And before I come off this segment, so Sola, I would love to ask you, what is your piece of advice in terms of choose to challenge today?
Choose to challenge. I think I'll take it from a personal perspective. On the 8th of March, I put up, a post on my social media saying that I choose to be a voice, to people in my spheres of influence. And I choose to show up as my authentic self, not define expectations of me as a woman or what society expects or how anybody else expects me to show up. I'm just going to show up as Sola, period.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Sola. So it has been great having you today. I'm going to queue up our next presenter, and she's also going to be talking about finance. So it's going to look like a big finance day today, because this is always a question that we have. And we're going to be talking about the needs of women, but on a micro finance level. So thank you so much. And I will see you again soon.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sola. So that was Sola from BDC. Thank you so much, Sola, for spending time with us today to talk about managing your finances. Our next guest is Susan Henry from Alterna Savings, and she will be talking about the microfinance program for women.
Good afternoon. My name is Susan Henry, Manager of Community Investments at Alterna. It's a pleasure to be here. And I manage our community microfinance program. And I'm also delighted to share how the program is making a difference for women entrepreneurs. Before I get started, let me tell you a little bit about Alterna. We are a full-service financial institution that has been the good in banking since 1908. Alterna is made up of Alterna Savings Credit Union and its wholly owned subsidiary, Alterna Bank. As a credit union, our members are our owners. When you open an account, you purchase a member share, which means you have a say in how we operate, such as voting for the board of directors and changes to the bylaws. We are different from banks in that our profits are reinvested back into the communities where we live and work. To learn more about Alterna, visit our website at alterna.ca. How do we make financing more accessible for underserved women? To help build the resilience that many underserved women entrepreneurs need, they must have access to capital to create and sustain businesses and jobs for themselves, their families, and also to contribute to their communities. Microfinance is an important tool in making this happen. Our program is based on developing avenues for local economic inclusion. We provide wraparound supports for underserved entrepreneurs with one-on-one consultation, financial education, tools, and workshops. Since its inception, the program has dispersed millions in loans and helped change the lives of thousands of underrepresented people and their families. We're often asked, why microfinance? It is not a common practice in Canada, but what we know, Ontario, like many provinces and territories in Canada, is home to a segment of the population unable to access mainstream financing to start a business, which ultimately helps them to support themselves and their families. We know that lending to underserved individuals, particularly those who require loans for startup purposes, is different from traditional commercial lending. And it's different in the loan size, the eligibility requirements, the borrower risk profile, and therefore, lending programs must be customized to suit these borrowers. We also know that traditional considerations such as credit granting are often absent. So things like demonstrable cash flow, established business clientele, record of previous successful sales, and established credit repayment. We also know that women entrepreneurs require the flexibility and support for their business. And these are some of the reasons why it is important to customize these types of programs. Community microfinance has been one of Alterna's social responsibility initiatives. The program is about access to affordable financial products and services, and women are at the core of the initiative. We designed the program to help break down roadblocks for individuals who could not access loans. We work with our partners to help provide micro entrepreneurs with the skills and resources that they need to create sustainable financial future for themselves, their families, and their communities. And within the program, we aim to help women establish their own identity, to help reduce poverty, to be self-empowered, to help women become more financially sound, and to help them increase their economic independence. So 20 years ago, when Alterna again established the program, we want to think about how it's going to help promote entrepreneurship, job creation, and community economic development. So we offer small loans ranging from $1,000 to $25,000 to underrepresented, underserved groups, many who are women entrepreneurs. And since its inception, the program has supported a number of women, new Canadians, and low-income individuals. And today, the program has dispersed more than $7 million in loans to over 1,300 individuals. Now, you'll see on this slide that we have our target groups and our loan products. And, more than 5 years ago, we really had to sort of hone in on what microfinance means to Canadians. So when we develop our loan products, it was in mind so that every Canadian household could understand, what microfinance is and how important it could be for them in building out their entrepreneurship journey. So here we have our low income earners. And what we offer here is our income builder loans. And these are loans up to $5,000. And really these loans can help anyone who's trying to supplement their income. They may be juggling a few jobs to make ends meet. It may be the working poor. For this loan, you need income and assets under $30,000. Our next loan product is our skilled professionals and trade loans. And this loan is especially for businesses who may be pre-revenue or businesses in operation of up to 5 years. Under this particular loan product, we'll see caterers, fashion designers, we'll see someone in the trades, a business consultant. So almost any business could really fit under this particular loan stream. And these loans are up to $15,000. We also have our social entrepreneurship impact loan for social enterprises. And these are loans that's going to help, a social entrepreneur or enterprise maximize their profit for social good. Here, your business structure could be a for-profit, a nonprofit, or a cooperative. And these are loans up to $25,000. We also have our professional development education loans. And these are loans up to $5,000 for those who may need to get back into a job or get back into a career, but they need to get maybe some licensing, they need to pay for some exams or their accreditation, or they may be looking to get tools for their trade. Whatever it is that's going to help them build their skill set. And again, these loans are up to $5,000. And last, we have our working women business loans. And these are women who may be juggling many demands. They're looking for flexibility within their loan products. Women are the primary users of our program. And let's take a little bit closer look at the woman business loan. So here you'll see the eligibility are women. The loan amounts are from $1,000 to $25,000. To qualify, you have to be 18 years and over, a legal residence in Canada. You have to work and live in Alterna service area. You need a credit score of 650 plus. You have to be 51% ownership as a woman-owned business. Your personal income has to be under 50,000. The business could either be full-time, part-time, or seasonal, and you have to be a revenue-generating business. And what we will need is a detailed business plan. We'll need a 24-month projected cash flow, revenue to date, your business registration documents showing your business structure, your most recent notice of assessment from CRA, a minimum of 2 business and personal references when you fill out your application, and photo ID. Now, with this particular loan, when we developed this, it was for women who had gone through our skilled professional and trades, and they reached the maximum ceiling of 15,000. But, when they apply for traditional financing, they still would not qualify. So this was one of the reasons, why we built in this particular loan product for women. As it said, the credit score has to be 650 and plus. But, I need to mention that our loans are not just credit score driven. And again, I take you back to these skills, professional and trade, where you don't need a credit score to start there and move up to this particular loan product. So as I mentioned before, we have a strong focus on women-identified entrepreneurs. We see how the program has made a difference for many of them. They continue to build new skills and knowledge, form meaningful alliances, and they're continuously learning and adapting, and they're proceeding forward. So today, our program portfolio has more than 58% female representation, and we know that they're committed to repaying their loans, and we've seen that they spend most of their business and personal income on their household, which in turn is improving the welfare of their whole family. So let me share some of the women's stories who have received a microloan for their business. So here we have Linda, and Linda runs Black River Gatehouse, an alternative and holistic health service. She is an incredible teacher, healer, and plant medicine woman, and one of Toronto's more prominent practitioners. Throughout her journey and starting her business, Linda mentioned how, as a woman entrepreneur, she has the freedom to make her own decisions. She has more flexibility in her lifestyle. And, this was evident when she was running her business, and then she brought in her holistic practices into a post-secondary environment, and she now teaches there. And this sort of flexibility is also helping to provide Linda better income opportunities and self-empowerment. And in her own words, Linda said, "My long-term relationship with Alterna has allowed me to build my business over the years by following my passion and making a living doing what is important to me in offering education and healing for individuals and for the community." And next, we have Marilyn, and Marilyn runs Vert Casse Croûte. And since 2005, Vert has been the original green caterer, specializing in local and organic food, waste reduction, and community involvement. During the pandemic, Marilyn showed a great deal of resiliency in her business. As a caterer of big events, that type of business disappeared overnight in the pandemic, and Marilyn had to pivot. And along the way, she sought advice on how to do so. She also took advantage of the many programs, government and others, that were available to her to help her business. And in her own words, Marilyn said, "The input and encouragement of the community microfinance team was vital for the survival of our business through this unprecedented crisis." We also have Marcia, and Marcia started Freedom Support Services in the early 2000s. The business is a temporary employment agency specializing in placing relief staff in the social service and healthcare field. When Marcia started, it was at an extreme difficult time. She was a single mom of 4 and life was a struggle. Getting traditional financing was not an option. A small loan combined with financial advice helped the business to flourish. Today, Freedom Support Services is creating jobs for more than 100 individuals, and the business has moved from the microlending to commercial lending. And Marcia said, the loan, it changed my life. It's easier to take care of my children, and I am so happy to give to others, especially newcomers, an opportunity to work. And last, we have Sweetwell Beauty Supply. And Sweetwell Beauty Supply was established by Joy and Ernest. The business specializes in hair care and body products. Joy is at the forefront of the business and brings her experience of running similar businesses from her home country. As immigrants to Canada, Joy and Ernest was unable to find a job due to lack of Canadian experience. And starting a business was an absolute necessity to support themselves and their families. The microloan continues to support their business when they need financing for expansion. Their goal is to build a franchise business. And in their own words, Joy has said, the meeting and interaction with the community microfinance team included the disbursement of the startup loan, business guidance and counseling, as well as webinar training, have continued to ensure that our business remain on the right path for rapid growth. I should also say, this business is under our women's program, even though it's in partnership with her partner, because Joy is a majority shareholder in this business, so it qualifies for the Working Women Business Loan. So we learned from running our microfinance program that the key strategic element for success in the program is the wraparound support we offer. This means we are not merely a financial institution administering a loan as our end result, but rather we are a partner in the process of community economic development, and the loan is actually the first step in the relationship and path towards financial resilience. We approach each entrepreneur, their business, and the loan as a multi-dimensional story. We take the time to understand what is happening with the entrepreneurs, the communities, the challenges or barriers that they may be facing, and also to look at the successes and experiences they're having. Viewing each loan as a relationship with each business really helps us to better support them and provide the proper tools and resources and networks to the entrepreneurs in our program. This wraparound approach in entrepreneurship really helps us to bridge the financial and social dimension for each entrepreneur. If you are interested in applying for a microloan, you will need to provide us with a business plan and cash flow projections. If you don't have these available, reach out to us. We have built our own business plan template and cash flow, which is unique to our program. It's not mandatory that you use it, but it's a helpful tool in helping you to get your business up and running. You will also need to demonstrate that you have the skills necessary to make the business a success. And we look at 2 specific skill sets. We look at the technical skill, which is the skill that you're probably going to bring. And we look at the operational skill, which is to see who are you surrounding yourself with in business that can help your business again succeed. You must also demonstrate that you have the character to meet your financial obligation. Again, microlending is not just about credit scores. Alterna has the experience adjudicating successfully using a more inclusive character-based lending practice, where aside from the traditional criteria, we look at things like your personal commitment, your experience, and the skills that you're bringing to your business, along with the quality of your business idea. So I'm really proud to announce that, we will be launching our micro savings program. And we saw the impact of the pandemic on many small business owners. Many of them simply were not prepared. They didn't have any savings set aside for business or personal emergencies. And we know business owners are concerned more about the day-to-day running of their business, and they don't invest a lot into the savings component. So we've designed a program so that when emergency happens, our micro entrepreneurs, are better prepared. So each time someone gets a loan, a portion of the payment will go towards their savings. And this program is really meant to help them save long term and to help provide a security for the future. So again, I want to thank you. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. If you would like more information about the program, or you're interested in applying for a microloan, reach out to us at microfinance@alterna.ca. You can also reach out to me personally. My contact information is here. And I leave you with this last photo. And, this is a photo of our community impact department team members. And as you can see, as we celebrate International Women's Day or week or month, or, this is our department. We are led and we're driven by female. So again, thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you so much. My goodness, Susan, you touched on so many points here in terms of micro lending. And we knew at the very beginning of the pandemic. And I think it really brought to mind and really hit home that most people really don't need large sums of money to continue their business. Many just really need an opportunity and a way to move forward. So thank you again for sharing that with us. I'm going to ask Aldine if there are any questions that were populated, but I do believe that there will be some questions, but I also have some questions as well for you. I don't see you on camera yet, but I'm pretty sure.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just don't.
I'm not sure why the camera piece is not coming up.
Oh, okay.
It
keeps cutting off?
Yeah, 1 second.
Okay. Not to worry. Okay. Well, we can still talk anyway, so
okay.
That's okay. That's okay.
I apologize. I don't know why it's not coming.
That's okay. It's okay. I know we had technical difficulties yesterday, so it's just, oh, goodness. Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to cover, and, thank you so much, because today was a day about not financial literacy. I won't use the term. It was really about where you can go, because not everyone has the same needs. We had different institutional members that they spoke about different levels, and the microfinance program that Alterna Savings offers, it could just be what, a woman business needs to really keep them going. You and I had some great conversations, and we talked about, how to help some of the women-led businesses within the community in terms of maybe structured buying, and then continue from there. So, Susan, if I can I'll turn it over to you so you can, elaborate a bit more on some of the programs that you have that you were not able to cover in the slides.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, obviously we talked about our Women Entrepreneurs program and, some other things that we do for entrepreneurs is around that financial literacy piece. Building that out is especially important, especially before you even start thinking about lending. We want to make sure you understand money management skills and how that work. Some other things that we're looking at is, through a collective model. We have partners, who are with Alterna, and right now they have what is called peer lending programs, and it's really for women, and it's around that peer support. So women, they're getting lending through our institution, but they're supporting each other's business. And that's really something that I think is worth exploring more, particularly, you know, when we look at this collective model and the power of purchasing together. So how can we, you know, make that work? So, you know, these are things, you know, when I think about partners and who our partners can be, you know, if we get other partners, again, that's a piece we can explore more.
Okay, no, that sounds amazing. And that really comes to point, because part of the whole thing of lending and, you know, the different types of business plan, I know I mentioned it to others in terms of when we were talking about financing, and a couple of things really comes back down to the business plan. No one business plan holds the same amount of information. And, you know, you had also mentioned in your presentation that there is, you know, the Alterna savings business plan may not be the same as someone else, but really the information that's collected is important. But to start a conversation, maybe there's a way that these small businesses, if they're thinking of approaching to say, you know, I'd like to learn more about the programs, is there a way maybe we can even, I'd be open to doing maybe a little short info sessions so you can discuss more about the programs. We also have community members that are part of, that are members that are doing the peer-to-peer lending. But program, but I think there's a really good opportunity where we can create that platform, Susan, where more people can learn about the microfinancing program, because it is something that I can't tell you how many International Women's Day events that I've been to in Ottawa with sort of Canada, and we have the same conversation that some women, they don't need 50,000, they don't need 100,000, so they don't fall into that category. They may only need 1,000. Or they may only need, you know, 2,500 to do what they need for their business. And this is why I really believe your program is so impactful and helpful on that aspect, because it meets that needs. It meets the needs of those individuals that they don't want to take on too much money. It's not that they're buying a huge piece of business where, you know, whether they're buying a business or a piece of property that they need like millions of dollars or hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's to address their needs now. So maybe you can share a bit more info on
that makes so much sense. You know, when I think of our, you know, the loan groups that I mentioned in that wheel, you know, when I think of, for example, the income builder loan, which is up to 5,000, we really wouldn't require like, you know, a 40-page business plan. There, you know, it could be anything from the lean model, so the business model canvas, or, you know, it could be where they're just giving us a few pages, you know, and when we design that program, especially, we know, for example, so many women and other entrepreneurs, they're again juggling a couple of jobs, and, you know, their business may be a side hustle. And, you know, they don't need this full plan. They, you know, I remember one story where I had someone came to us, and I'm going to use a male, but, you know, he was a DJ, and his equipment broke down, and he needed just a small loan to get up and running that very same evening. And so we wouldn't require a big plan for that, right? So our plan is dependent on the different stages in that wheel that you saw. When we do get to the women's entrepreneurship loan, that's a little bit more robust. We may require a lot more because they've gone through many different loan products within that wheel. And I think it is worth having some info sessions on, you know, what goes into the different types of plans that can help entrepreneurs for sure.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you so much. That would make a huge difference in the community. And right now, due to COVID, we can just run those sessions online and just, you know, I think it would create a really good opportunity for them to engage and ask questions. And I always say this too, and people laugh at me when I say that when we have bigger forums like this, when it comes down to finance, if it's marketing or other things, people don't mind asking the question. But for some reason, when it comes to finance, most people will tend to wait and they, okay, you know what, I'm going to ask later when there's no one around. But someone else has the same question that you do. So we will be providing, Susan, we're sharing information of all our presenters. So we'll be sharing yours as well with all our registrants. And then, don't be surprised if someone reaches out to you and said, hey, I had a question, Susan, I had a question, but I didn't want to ask in the town square, as I like to call it. Can you help me with this? Or I want to have questions pertaining to this and this. So, do look for that. And we will be packaging up and sending that out next week sometime to all our participants and all our registrants. So it's a good opportunity for them to ask you one-on-one and really address these questions. So yeah.
Yeah, that would be great because, like I always say, it's not just about the loan, it's the upfront conversation and getting people ready. And once they get a loan, then, there's some other conversations we have to keep them, succeeding in their business. So it has to be this whole holistic piece where we're with them from the beginning to the end.
Yes, definitely. That's awesome. Thank you so very much. Aldine, let me know if there's anything else. And we're going to get ready very shortly for our last panel of the day, which is a fireside chat with, I will introduce the other guests later. But Susan, it's been more than a pleasure, and I thank you so much for all your help. There is a couple programs I will mention. So there's a few programs that we are working on, and I will be tapping Susan for help with regards to that. And it comes down to women's programs. With that help, we have a very, very small micro grant that we will be giving out. So, once I reach out to all the participants, I will be asking and sending out a form post the events to determine how we can help you. And if you're eligible to use that micro grant, that is something that would be amazing. And that is a micro grant that, Susan, we had that conversation about that, and that's how we will be fulfilling that. So I wanted to say thank you so much for that. And yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So we will be moving on. We're going to give everyone a short break before our 3:30. So that's probably about maybe 12, 13 minutes, I think, before we move on to the next part, which is our fireside chat, which is the very last feature for International Women's Day. I will be sitting down with MP Ruby Sahota. She is our MP for Brampton North. I will be also sitting down with Councillor Rowena Santos, one of the first minority women councillor, along with Councillor Charmaine Williams, incredible, powerful women that have been here, and looking forward to hearing their stories. Jennifer Vivian, she is the manager for the Brampton Entrepreneur Center. She will also be joining us. Karen Perez will also be joining us. She is from Open for Business Brampton, an incredible woman here. So we have some amazing powerhouses, and we will be discussing diversity economics. So we will be looking at ways to empower women to move forward past COVID, right now and past COVID, and even way beyond. So stay tuned and join us at 3:30. Come back here. Thanks.